Hi, welcome to Box on the Box Rock and Celluloid, Botbrack for short. I'm over Box, so I've got another Boxwatch for you, a basic compendium of the things I've been watching over the last few months. So I'll start off with television, just looking over my list here. So the main thing that I really enjoyed in the last few months was The White Lotus Season 3. I've enjoyed the previous 2 seasons, this is no different. If you've not seen The White Lotus, you can watch it on Sky Atlantic via Now TV. I imagine obviously you get it on Sky as well. Basically the plot is the guest actors go to a different hotel in some exotic place each season, different country. The people are usually fabulously wealthy, but it just focuses on the people who work at the hotel as well. And it's a kind of mixture of satire, drama and thriller really. Obviously it's kind of taking the piss out of rich people who seem to be miserable, which is always fun. And you generally get really good sort of stars coming into each series. This one had Michelle Monaghan and Jason Isaacs and Parker Posey, who's superb. Watch out for the awards season next year for TV. I think Parker Posey's probably got a really good chance of getting Best Supporting Actress. She does this hilarious southern accent. But it's just good. I mean, was it? I probably like the second one best, I think. Although I'm not sure, but I still enjoyed this. It started a bit quieter, but it's quality. You've got great high production values, good acting. It's funny, but at the same time, it's got kind of a bit of tragedy as well. So like I say, if you've not checked out The White Lotus, if you like sort of adult drama with a bit of comedy, I think you'll enjoy it. Next thing I watched, it's the only thing I've really watched on terrestrial TV, on ITV. It was Unforgotten. So this is a series I like. Originally used to have Nicola Walker in. She's been replaced by another actress whose name escapes me, but it's still got Shanja Baksar in it. Basically it's a cold case series. Usually it's episode 1, a body gets found, and then there's a series of characters introduced who we know will have a connection with the death or murder, but we're just not sure how. It's always got good acting, it always keeps you guessing, and it has a good payoff at the end. I think this usually turns up on Netflix eventually, so it's worth a binge. It is quite addictive. Black Mirror, recent season, I think we're on season 7. Now, I must confess I haven't finished this yet, but I've watched the first few episodes, and it's up to the usual standard. I think I'm probably enjoying it more than the last season. The first story with Chris O'Dowd and Rashida Jones is very dark, very bleak, but very good. As Peter Capaldi come to in one which I'm about to watch. But all present correct with this series. Again, this is on Netflix. Originally it was on Channel 4, but all those episodes have moved over to Netflix. You've never seen Black Mirror. I would say the earlier episodes with a lower budget, when it was more of a British thing, better. But it's just a really, really good series. It's just always got a dark, kind of twisted look at technology, about how technology runs our lives and how it might go with technology. It's what's the word I'm looking for? It's bleak. I can't think of the word. Sorry, but anyway, Black Mirror is well worth checking out on Netflix. You season 5. So this is a show I've enjoyed over the past 4 seasons. I've got to say, season 5 is the final season. It was the weakest season. The first half of the season, I was getting quite annoyed with the main character, but it picked up, it got going, it tied up things quite nicely, and I think the right outcome occurred. If you've not seen You, basically it's about a stalker who ends up murdering people. It's really dark. I keep watching dark things, but it's also very funny. It's got a really good performance by Penn Badgley, who's in Gossip Girl in the main lead. Pretty easy to watch, 10 episodes a season. If you've not watched this before, you could dive in. You've got 5 seasons there, 50 episodes. You'll do this in a month easily. And then Yellowstone. At last, I got around to watching Yellowstone. This is a show I've wanted to watch for a while, but it's always on Paramount Plus, and then they've had one series, the first series on Channel 5, but no more. But then eventually the first 4 seasons dropped on Netflix. And then we tracked down the last season on Paramount Plus on a free trial. I don't know if you're like this, but I do bouncing. We'll get a free trial for a week if it's on offer, or sometimes you get a trial of something for a few pounds a month. But anyway, this show, it started off not great. The first season, I mean, I wanted to stick with it. My wife was watching it, was like, I'm not sure I want to stick with this, because the characters are twats, to be quite honest, in the first season. And they are sort of twatish. But as the season went along, about episode 6 or 7, it started to settle down, and there was enough there to go to the next season. I'll say seasons 2 and 3 were the best. 4 still as good, but less so. 5, there was an issue, which I'll not go into. We still enjoyed it. It tied up things pretty cool. It ended satisfactorily, but there was an element to it where it was like, oh Christ, anyway. But if you want to watch a modern sort of Western, with really good acting, Kevin Costner's really good. Kelly Riley's a standout as Kevin Costner's daughter. And Cole Hauser, remember Cole Hauser from Pitch Black and The Cave? He's the ranch hand. He's great in it. And there's sort of various people playing hardened cowboys, including the creator of it, Taylor Sheridan. And they're all really good. And often in the show, they'll actually have real life old cowboys in it. So that's one of the interesting things of the show. It's a really interesting look at like what the modern cowboy life is like, running a ranch, and what the modern day cowboy does. Because essentially when they're herding up cattle and going off and sleeping up where the cattle are, sleeping out for the night, essentially they're doing what cowboys always did. So yeah, it's good. So this brought us on to watching the prequel, Yellowstone 1883. Again, this started sort of, it was all right. It got going. What was interesting about this is incredibly bleak. This is about the ancestor of the Kevin Costner's character going across and wanting to settle in another part of the US, and they join a wagon train of European settlers, Sam Elliott and another guy are guiding them, and they join that and help out, to simplify things. But this is incredibly bleak. The hardship of the frontier, the weather, the food, the animals, and humans, the nasty humans. So again, this was good. Enjoyed it. I haven't watched 1923 yet, but there's a second season of that, and that's got Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren in, and Timothy Dalton, fucking James Bond, and Indiana Jones. So yeah, we'll be watching that. So that is my TV viewing. There's other things to watch, but these were the things that stood out. Documentaries, 3 documentaries. Netflix Drive to Survive, so watch the one from the previous Formula 1 season. I mean, I like watching Drive to Survive, to be honest, because I don't watch the F1 that much now. I just follow the results, read the tittle tattle. So Drive to Survive is actually a way for me to watch what happened in the season. But I find it a bit annoying, they gave them all mobile phones this year, the young drivers, to kind of like film a sequence of a race weekend, and they all make out their mates and party and that. And it's like, we all know sportsmen are fucking boring. Sportsmen and women are amazing what they do. That's because they're boring, because they fucking haven't got any time to do anything else. But I still like it. It's still an interesting watch. It'll be interesting to see this coming season's one, because of the way Red Bull have ditched drivers, and the sort of cruelty and harshness in a way of the Formula 1 environment. You're not given time. Then I watched Capital in the 21st Century. This is an old documentary from 2020. Well, it's not that old. So Capital in the 21st Century is a book by Thomas Piketty. This is one of the kind of most popular books on economics and where we're at. And they basically made this in a documentary. This is really interesting if you're interested in global politics, the situation in the world, and economics. Like I say, I like to follow sort of economic-based things, but obviously I'm not an economist, so it's good to have something to explain in layman terms. It paints a pretty bleak picture of like how it used to be and where we're at now, and the modern sort of economic climate isn't much different to what it was many moons ago. But yeah, I would recommend that. It's Studio Canal, so I got a cheap 3 months of Prime, and then I could sign into Studio Canal for a month 3. And the Studio Canal's got some quite good foreign language films. I watched some John Pierre Melville films. If you've not heard of him, he's big into some Michael Mann and Tarantino, and various other things. So that's one of the good things, if you're on Prime, you can kind of go into other things. And on Prime, I watched a documentary called Golden Era, and I'm a huge James Bond fan. And one of the interesting things about diving down the rabbit hole on YouTube with all the James Bond related stuff you got out there is I never realised how important the GoldenEye game was to a generation of Bond fans. I don't play video games. When GoldenEye came out, I was 24. By the time the game came out, I was 26. But GoldenEye is one of the all-time great games in the first-person shooter genre, and it used excellent levels and 3D graphics for the time, and its soundtrack as well. And it got a lot of young people into watching the GoldenEye film, and Brosnan became their Bond the same way that Roger became my Bond. Well, Roger and Sean sort of equally. But so this is quite interesting. It's not, it was more interesting for me just finding out about the game and things like that. If you're into computer games, you really like it. Really the main interest for watching is if you're interested in James Bond. But it's a good indication of where Amazon could go with Bond, because they could, if they want to, expand things without wrecking it. Video games is a good way, because they don't harm the sort of the cinematic legacy to me. If the video game's crap, well, it doesn't matter. Whatever, make a crap TV show, not good. Okay, so that's sort of TV viewing and documentary. Well, not sort of, it is. Let me dive into cinema and films. So at the cinema, I went to see The Monkey. This is a new Osgood Perkins film. So Osgood Perkins made Long Legs, the really creepy serial killer horror from last year, with Nicolas Cage and Maika Monroe. This is quite funny, a really good central performance from Theo James, an actor who I'm growing to like. I think he's kind of coming into himself more. When he started out, he was just a pretty sort of young man, decent, but he seems to be getting more chops. He does a good American accent. He's good in The Gentleman in this. He plays kind of twins, or maybe he doesn't, I don't know. And he's quite, good at playing those different aspects of the character. We're talking about James Bond before. I do think he is a good contender for James Bond. He's the same age as Brosnan and Dalton were when they took the role. He's got a great speaking voice. He's got a rich, deep tone to his voice, like Roger Moore, like Sean Connery. He looks great. He's tall. I think whether he'd be interested, whether Amazon would be interested, I don't know, but he must be considered. And he's in my top 3 or 4 choices, or choices most likely for them to be looking at. I could be completely wrong. So next film I watched in the cinema, actually was before this, was I'm Still Here. So this was going back to awards season time, just before the Oscars. This was the Best Foreign Language Film winner. This is about a woman whose husband is disappeared in the night under the Brazilian far-right junta in the 1970s, and it just follows the story. It's just a very, very good, great Oscar-nominated performance by the central actress. The director, Walter Salles, made a film called Central Station with the actress's mum, and in later scenes the actress's mum plays the actress, that character. So really good. And Walter Salles made a Motorcycle Diaries, and then he had a sort of bit of a meh Hollywood career. He did On the Road, but he's back on all cylinders with this. Great evocation of that era. What's interesting, in the 1970s, a lot of South American countries had military takeovers, far-right juntas. Argentina, Brazil, and Chile. And interesting films have been made about all these. You can see the film Missing with Jack Lemmon, about the one in Chile, and also the one about the vote. I've forgotten. I think it's called No. That's worth seeing. And then for the Argentinian one, make sure you see a film called The Secret in Her Eyes, not the Hollywood remake with Julia Roberts. It just loses all context. Watch The Secret in Her Eyes. I think that's somewhere out there in streaming land. It's an amazing film. So it was good. Another good film to add into that sort of little subgenre. Oh, sorry, it's just not my computer there. And then the other film I've seen at the pictures that I thought was worth talking about is one that's got quite a lot of critical sort of traction online, and it's Warfare. So this is Alex Garland, and I forget the name of his co-director, but I'll come to him. And this is basically a real-time war film set in, I think they're in Iraq. It could be Afghanistan, apologies. Basically, a unit goes in, takes over a couple of kind of houses with families inside, and they're doing a stakeout. Shit hits the fan, an IED goes off. It's all in real time. Good acting by Will Poulter, Joseph Quinn, and Cosmo Jarvis. I remember his name. So Cosmo Jarvis, you'll have seen in Shogun. and Calm with Horses, which is another film he's in. Again, check that out on streaming. I think it's on BFI. So that again, hiring British actors, all doing great American accents, and the actor who is in the film with Julianne Moore and Natalie Portman, I've forgotten the name of it, but it's on Amazon Prime. About the woman who goes to prison for having relations with a younger lad and ends up marrying him. Well, he's the younger lad in that. He's a bit older now. Anyway, they're all really good. The sound design, the direction's very good. Lots of long takes, lots of, putting you in the action. It doesn't explain what their mission is. It's totally based on a real life story. So that brings me to the co-director of the film. So the technical advisor of the film, I think he might have written a book on it. He gets co-directing credit with Alex Garland, which I think is really top of Alex Garland. This guy's like a guy from a military background, but clearly he's been, guiding them through every single scene. You'll move like this, you'll do that. Like, we did this next. He's on set all the time, and this is created one of the most realistic war films I've ever seen. If you're looking for a comparison in terms of realism in sort of war footage, you would have to look at the start of Saving Private Ryan, different war. But probably this is probably more realistic because you've got the actual guy there, but I'm trying to think of that feeling. So I mean, like I said, I didn't love it. I've seen a lot of war films, but it is really good, and it stands out in this genre along with The Hurt Locker. All the films I've seen about the Afghanistan-Iraq conflict, the conflict that never should have been, certainly not Iraq. I mean, we went to Afghanistan. Anyway, we'll not go into that, it's too complicated. But this along with The Hurt Lockers, the two that stand out. The other ones I've seen, they're always interesting, but these are the two that stand out. So, and Alex Garland's becoming a director of note. He hasn't made a bad film, Ex Machina, the other sci-fi film with Natalie Portman. He did recent one, Civil War, Men. He's building a really good oeuvre, and allegedly remotely or ghost directed the good Judge Dredd film. So maybe we could do a Bond film. Right, so on to streaming. So a film I never got to see at the cinema, two films, and I kind of didn't pay to see them. The first one's Furiosa. I always thought there was problems with the trailer with this. You could see that it was favouring CGI over practical effects. The beauty of Mad Max Fury Road was the practical effects with just little enhancements. This has a lot of CGI. I like the Furiosa character in Mad Max, but it would have been better if it had a bit more Mad Max. But anyway, I think most people love Mad Max Fury Road. It's a film that came out of nowhere. Having said it, when we saw the trailer, we were like, actually, this looks amazing. But we just don't need to know a prequel about Furiosa. This is just make a fucking Mad Max film. Sorry, I shouldn't F-bomb. I'll get stopped. It's just, there's nothing to grab you in apart from the character played by Tom Burke, who kind of functions as a kind of Mad Max character, and he's interesting. When he's on screen, it does glue things more. But some people really like this, or they don't like it as much as Fury Road, but they're like, oh, well, I still enjoyed it. But this was like a 4 or 5 out of 10 for me. And yeah, disappointing. And then Twisters. I was never a massive fan of Twister, but at the time it was a big rollicking effects film. They didn't have States Welcome, was a lot of fun, and had a flying cow. And it showed like the capability of what CGI effects could do then, that film. If you go back, when it came out, it was 96, so 89 you had Abyss, 91, Terminator 2, 93, Jurassic Park. So by 96, they were putting much more effect shots in films, and most of Twister has a lot of CGI, and it was pretty well done at the time. So this new one, the CGI is better, because times moved on, particular lighting when you've got actors in the green screen moment. But this just had no characters. Glenn Powell and Daisy Edgar Jones did their best. But it was just them chasing a bunch of tornadoes, or as I was watching Mark Kermode say, they're running away from them as well. This is just Hollywood out of ideas. Twisters never needed a sequel. And it's just really strange to a sequel to a film like, 28 years later. No pun intended. So anyway, yeah. I give it 4 out of 10. But, you might like it. now we're on to what I've been watching on Amazon Prime. So yeah, I got an offer on Amazon Prime for 3 months. It was like £3, 13 quid for 3 months it was. So pretty good. So I've been making big use of it. So really, I've just been chasing down films I've not seen for a while. I picked out four, um, uh, three films I've seen in the past, which was interesting to watch again. So the first one is Hoosiers. So Gene Hackman had died recently, and I was watching a lot of Gene Hackman films. This was a film I saw years ago. I mean, I must have seen it at some point in the late 80s, very early 90s. And this is rated actually as one of the best American sports films. And although I wouldn't, necessarily, I'm not really into American sports. So I'm not like an expert on that. I do think this was interesting, and it suffers from a sort of quaint 80s-ness, but it's about a coach who coaches a high school basketball team in India. I think it's Indiana, but it shows how important sport is in these small communities. There's a show I haven't watched Friday Night Lights, but I've seen the film. There's that real intensity about school and college football, and whether someone can get a scholarship and lead on. They won't spoil it for me, but these guys actually won it against the odds, and Hackman's great in it, of course, and the young actors playing the squad are good. But there's some good moments where parents try and involve themselves in coaching and things like that. Not because they're bad people, but they're just so intense about this thing. And I don't think we are as much in this country. It's just a different thing. It's everything to this town. And from that perspective, it was interesting to watch it again. I think Jerry Goldsmith did the score as well. And then the next film I went back to that I'd seen a couple of times and I just fancied it is Gattaca. So Gattaca's a sci-fi film from 1997, directed by Andrew Niccol, who has dabbled and done various films, but this is his best one. And it has a great retro-futurist look, this. And it's kind of like Brave New World, Aldous Huxley. You've got Ethan Hawke plays someone who is, he's not tip-top specimen, so to speak, and the valids are the people who get the best jobs in society and so on. And he's managed to team up with a valid who's been injured, a crippled, and he's in a wheelchair, Jude Law, and he uses his identity to work in Gattaca because he wants to go to space. And basically, you get picked for the mission, you go up to one of the moons of Saturn. But he's got a great look to it. It had quite a sizable, which $36 million, but it was a flop at the time. It's got a cult following, but it looks good. It's quite tense. It's got good thriller elements, but it's interesting to watch it in light of sort of what I call celebrity culture, how celebrities kind of really big now. When I watched this film when it came out, the idea of celebrity culture was just starting to take hold, particularly with the Spice Girls and the Beckhams in this country. And I would say in today's culture, we elevate celebrity and the children of celebrity and as well, and they're sort of seen as the and wealthy people as the dominant, as the valids of society. And us, because we let this happen, we're kind of seen as the normies, the civilians, so to speak. So although it doesn't deal with celebrity, I think there's sort of parallels within that. But it was good to watch it again. 8 out of 10. It still holds up. Watch Gattaca. And then the Wrath of Khan. So I've talked about this before in my Star Trek ranking. I hadn't seen this for a long time, but I just decided to watch it. And what was interesting about it is it's great. It's the best Star Trek film, but it's also just a really good space adventure film. You don't need to know anything about Star Trek to watch and enjoy this film. The acting's great by the Star Trek cast and Ricardo Montalbano. I think that's what's interesting about it is William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, DeForest Kelley aren't necessarily great actors, but they're great as those characters, and that's when an actor meets with a role, or actress as well, obviously Michelle Nichols Uhura, and that's their thing. It's really good. It's got a kind of 80s-ness to it, but it's that early 80s. It's got quite a nice look where it's kind of, you can see the sort of 80s influence. They're sort of dressed a bit like Mad Max, Khan's crew. Great musical score by James Horner, kind of taking his cues from Jerry Goldsmith's excellent Star Trek score. And just the pacing of it, this is a film, it's 113 minutes long, but we take the credits off. You've got 105 minutes of story time, and it takes its time. There's lots of long scenes of people talking, and just building, and every character gets their thing. It's not overcomplicated. It's a simple plot. But what's really good about it is it's got this kind of deep existential undercurrent to it, because it's about life and death. If people haven't seen it, I'm not spoil the ending, but it's got one of the most famous things in Star Trek folklore in this. But Kirk's an admiral now, but he misses the old days of being on the ship, and it's that thing: can he still cut it? Can he still do it? He's kind of bored. Spock's getting older. He's moved up the ranks. Then there's Kirk's son, and he's a strange son, and the youth, and Khan's character's been shut on this horrible planet, and he's lost time and wants revenge. And it's about the passage of time, how people reflect on the aging process, how they reflect on life and death. And that's a really heavy thing, to go to see. I would have seen it when I was 11, but, it's a shame films don't do that anymore, because this was a popcorn, it was a big film at the time. Okay, quickly on to other streaming. So via Amazon, I've been able to sign up to 101, which is a shit streaming service. I signed up to a week to watch one film. It's Incendies. This is Denis Villeneuve's not debut film, but it's a film that broke him out to a wider audience. He got Best Foreign Language Film Oscar nomination. He went to Hollywood, he made Prisoners. The rest is history. Now with Christopher Nolan, I would say the de facto auteur filmmaker that we look to. I'm not going to explain the plot of this, just make sure you watch it. It looks nothing like Blade Runner 2049. It's about twins who are bequeathed particular wishes in their mother's will and have to go to their home country of her birth to investigate. It's really good. The way the plot goes, by the end, you're just like, holy hell. Acting's great. The way it goes from one timeline to the other, you always know where you are. Brilliant acting, brilliant storytelling from someone who was to become and is a master filmmaker. Then I signed up to BFI for a week. BFI is always good for art stuff. I was looking at it last night, and last night I watched a film called Starvaker. This stars Matt Smith and Moffat Clark, is it? I think, from St. Maud and Rings of Power. So this is a folk horror. It's really strange and creepy. It's got a great musical score. It's actually based on a novel by a guy who's done 4 novels apparently, and he sets all his stories near where I'm from, in the sort of Lancashire borders, and so on. He sets one in Morecambe Bay, but this is set in the countryside on the farm. I'm not going to what happens. If you like folk horror, you will like this. It's really weird. It's got disturbing imagery, disturbing sound, and a suitably weird ending for folk horror fans. Then on Mubi, another one I signed up for £1 a month for 3 months. I watched Bring Them Down. This went straight to Mubi. This stars Barry Keoghan and Christopher, I forgot his second name, but he's in Possessor, the Brandon Cronenberg film. This is brutal. I would warn you for this. I was going to watch it with my wife, but then I was like, I'll just watch it. The serious animal trauma in this film that I found really disturbing, difficult to watch for me because I love animals. It's not vindictive or anything. It's kind of part of the story world, but it is disturbing. But it's good. It's set on a farm. There's an interesting subgenre here, actually. Films set in the farming community. I've seen quite a lot, and we need to collate these. This is farm thriller. We've had a folk horror, farm horror, because Starvaker set on a farm. But this was good. Barry Keoghan's good. He's kind of doing that sort of slightly simple sort of country guy does, and Christopher, I've forgotten his second name, sorry, was really good in it. But it's very bleak, but it's worth checking out. Then I watched a film called The Gold Cup. This is a disturbing German serial killer film. It's quite grubby. This was quite a tough watch. I liked it. I like what the director was going for. It's set in the 1970s about a real life serial killer, and he frequents a pub called The Gold Cup. And he murders prostitutes, but it's kind of got some black comic elements. It's very dark. It wouldn't be everyone's taste, and it kind of did push taste, but it just had an interesting look, and the principal character was just one of those people who you'd walk across the other side of the street to avoid, and it's interesting when films cover those characters. Now I've waffled on for 29 minutes. Anyway, remember, share and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks very much.